Hello, my darlings. Madame Raven here with a wonderful story by MemorHauntsYou. This is another one about death. I've always enjoyed the anthropomorphic characters of death. I especially became fond of them with Terry Pratchett's Discworld. And so, as it fits into various folklore and myths, I also enjoy it and found this one and thought I would share it with you with the kind consent of the author. I bring you my kind and stubborn friend, Death. Sometimes I say that death is my friend. It would probably be more appropriate to keep some polite distance and refer to him as a highly respected member of my multidisciplinary team. Though he is very friendly and we get along well, the fact remains that he is more than just a colleague, since he is the one whose decisions are final, no bargaining allowed. For a long time I had a love-hate relationship with him. I have had a harsh time coming to terms with the reality that his job is just another part of life. I have cursed him out, punched him, and even tried to defenestrate him that one time when a particularly stressful discussion escalated. That was quite the spectacle. He let himself drop 3 floors to the ground to humor me, then proceeded to roll around on the grass beneath, laughing his bony, clattering ass off at my futile attempt to impress him. Yet many times I have cried on his shoulder. In the depth of his hollow eye sockets, I have found wisdom and peace when grief was overwhelming me. On many occasions I've tried pleading with him to give someone more time, while at other moments I have begged him to take a horrifically suffering person away with him already, to bring relief to the pain. But he says it doesn't work that way. Rules, I have often heard him mutter. When I had just gotten to know him, this seems like his go-to manner of warning me that I would be towing the line about certain matters, and that a change of topic was overdue. I work in a home for elderly care. That's how I met him. Scared the bloody hell out of me when I first saw him, intensely looking at the bed where Mrs. Greenwood, 94 years old, lay emaciated and silent, her face already a mask of death. For those who are not into nursing, the mask of death is an expression we use to describe the facial changes a patient starts to show when he or she is close to death. The eyes seem sunken, a clear outline of their surrounding cases showing. Their nose becomes more pointed, a bluish white. The lips turn white or blue and form a hard line, and the cheeks cave in deeply, the cheekbones being no more than thin skin over bone. Oh, and their ears go cold, so cold. Her condition had been worsening for a couple days now, so it was not the sight of Mrs. Greenwood that startled me. It was the man standing over her bed, looking at her.
"Oh,"
he merely said when he noticed my disconcertion.
"So you see me then?"
All I could do was nod.
"I can tell by your face,"
he added. Yeah, I bet he could.
"Most other people will see me in doctor's or nurse's attire, or won't see me at all,"
he continued.
"You, on the other hand, seem to have a rather open view on things, like a child who has never been robbed of its ability to see beyond the veil. Beautiful, beautiful. Though I do wish you were a bit more creative."
With that, he nodded grumpily towards the large object he was trying to handle.
"A scythe? Really?"
he scoffed.
"Little bit cliché, if you ask me. Quite unwieldy, too, especially in hospital and nursing home settings." Rooms here are so cramped. I just going to bump into the ceiling and door frames left, right, and center. Not to mention, it's really going to get all tangled up in these infusion stands, and we can't have those toppling over. Try to imagine me with something smaller, but still cool. A kind of dagger, maybe? Close your eyes and focus.
So I did, for a minute. When I opened my eyes again, Death was looking very pleased, playing with a sharp, quite ornate, but handy silver dagger.
I promise I won't stab anyone,
he said, as if my face had betrayed such suspicions.
All I do is cut the lifeline when the time is right. Now don't look at me that way. It's not much different from a life being started. The doctor, nurse, or midwife cuts the umbilical cord to start the life. I cut that other cord when someone's time has come to leave life.
We both jumped. Yes, Death himself jumps when he is startled. It's quite cute when it happens, but please don't tell him I said so. We had been so busy admiring the dagger for a few moments, we had completely forgotten why we were here and what needed to be done. Mrs. Greenwood, I spoke softly, approaching her bed. Mrs. Greenwood? Eliza? The lady looked worse than ever, lifeless, worn out to the core. Can you get out of the room for a moment? I asked Death unceremoniously. I need to notify the head nurse that Mrs. Greenwood is deteriorating and that she's going to have a fit if she sees you in here. Death shook his head.
She won't see me, I promise.
Well then, I called the head nurse on my work phone and told her Mrs. Greenwood was possibly dying. When she rushed in, she didn't even notice Death sitting there. She took some vitals and called up the general practitioner. Afterwards, I stayed with Eliza so she wouldn't be alone. Suddenly, Eliza looked towards the relaxed chair where Death was sitting and smiled.
To her,
Death whispered,
my appearance takes the form of her late husband. Did you know she had been a widow for 14 years?
Yeah, I replied. I saw that in her file in the early days, when she was not this sick yet. She loved to talk about her husband, about the traveling they did together, their former jobs, their volunteer work. You were always a real pleasure to talk to, Mrs. Greenwood. I have turned to talk to the patient directly and to hold her hand. You must have loved each other very much. She mumbles weakly, now even managing to move an arm in his direction. So I decided to try my luck with Death after all. I must be special because I can see him. So, you couldn't tell me how much longer?
Nope, can't be doing that. Rules.
But she's suffering badly, and everyone knows it's just a matter of time. Why must she just suffer when nobody can help her anymore?
I do not decide such things. All I do is use my scythe or dagger to cut the lifeline when I get the okay.
Our discussion had fallen silent. I'm sitting next to Mrs. Greenwood, refreshing her face with a warm washcloth, then gently start massaging her hands with lavender-scented almond oil.
Excuse me, ladies,
Death said, as if he had just got an important phone call, though no such device was anywhere to be seen or heard.
Got to make a stop at the third-floored ward. I've been so pleasantly surprised by meeting someone who could see me, and yet did not storm off screaming, that I almost lost my proper timing.
And with that, he takes fast strides to the door. Hey! I run after him. You can't just, are you taking someone from the third floor? I can't just let you. He smiles.
Look around you.
I look in the general direction of visitors walking, nurses running, doctors comparing notes. They all have one thing in common. They don't see death.
No one would believe you if you told them what you saw today, he whispers. You would lose your job over it, and that would greatly sadden me because you are good as a nurse and as a person.
Thanks, I think.
I mean it. You are kind, gentle, attentive, compassionate, everything a dying patient could wish for. But speaking of jobs, I really urgently need to get to floor 3, because if I'm not on schedule, the whole system comes crashing down. Now you be a good girl, do your own job, and whatever you do, stay away from floor 3, and don't meddle with things you do not understand. Anyway, miss, it was a great pleasure to connect with someone of your kind, and I expect we will be meeting again soon.
And that, dear reader, was the beginning of the most special, bizarre co-working relationship I have ever had. So quoth this reader.